Welcome to another episode of Yesterday's Capers. I'm Abdullah Moallim, and every week I'll be bringing you the very best shows from the past that the world has to offer. It's the last back to school episode, and we're going out with a bang and a tune as we put 15 up against Fame. That's right, baby, remember the name. And we take a special look at Byker Grove. That's right, we'll look back at this incredible Geordie institution, and of course, that means Anton Deck. Watch us wreck the mic, watch us wreck the mic, watch us wreck the mic. Psych! Oh, it's going to be a fun episode. So, let's get started. And joining me as ever is producer Paul.
Hey man, how's it going?
A more easier week this week than previous weeks.
What, for the shows?
I mean, for the shows and for like life, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm getting busier at work every day. It's just like, it's absolutely relentless.
But yeah, as I said in the intro, it is the last of the schools month, and it's been a pretty fun month, and we've done some damn good shows, and I know we definitely did a couple this week, and yeah, it's more focused on like extracurricular stuff and stuff outside of school, and we're going to kick things off with Fame. So the TV series Fame came out in January 1982, and some of the things happening in the world. The Commodore 64 8-bit home computer is launched by Commodore International in Las Vegas.
Amazing console.
And it becomes the all-time best-selling single personal computer model. The second brutal cold snap of the winter sends temperatures to all-time record lows in dozens of cities in the United Kingdom. It includes the national record from February 1895 being equaled, and it would be equaled again in December 1995, a winter I actually remember, and yeah, it was hella cold. The first computer virus, the Elk cloner, was written by 15-year-old Rich Skrenta, is found, and it infects Apple II computers via floppy disk. Vice Squad was in the cinemas, and Golden Brown by the Stranglers was in the charts. So Fame. So this was an American TV series by Elena Productions in association with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Television, or MGM, and sponsored by Yamaha Musical Instruments, which are prominently showcased in the episode. The show is based on the 1980 motion picture of the same name. Using a mixture of drama and music, it follows the lives of the students and faculty at the New York City High School for the Performing Arts, a fictional establishment that's based heavily on the actual Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts. Most interior scenes were filmed in Hollywood, and in all the seasons except the third, the show filmed several exterior scenes on location in New York City. The popularity of the series around the world, most notably in the United Kingdom, led to several hit records and live concert tours by the cast, and despite its success, few of the actors actually maintained high-profile careers after the series was cancelled. Several of the cast members were seen again briefly in Bring Back Fame, which is a reunion special made for Channel 4 in the United Kingdom in 2008. Despite glowing reviews from critics, ratings were less than impressive, and NBC cancelled it after only 2 seasons. However, by special arrangement with LBS Communication, MGM revived the series in 1983, where it continued for 4 more seasons. Ira Stephen Bear, who wrote 12 episodes of the series, said, and I quote, "I did 3 years on Fame, which was a lot of fun and was also in syndication. We had no one looking over our shoulder. We got to do some wonderfully bizarre things on the show, and the only time they gave us any trouble was the last show. I was going to write after I knew we were cancelled. It was going to be Road Warrior meets Fame. It was a show that takes place in the future, and you can only sing for the state. It was a fascist society, and we were going to have motorcycles going through the school and have Iggy Pop as the guest star. It was great, and I was in the midst of writing the episode when somehow MGM read somewhere that we planned to burn down the sets, which was a lie. We were going to trash them a bit, but it wasn't the last episode. We had one more after that, and they stopped me from writing it. I would have actually liked to have seen that episode, actually.
Well, I mean, they burn down the set on EastEnders like every season, so what's the
Yeah, but
problem?
EastEnders is like a regular thing. Listen, this obviously had an expiry date, whereas EastEnders seems to be going on forever and ever. So, the show's theme song was a pop hit for singer Irene Cara, having been featured in the motion picture. A re-recorded version of the theme song, using similar instrumentation of the 1980s track, was used in the series and sung by co-star Erica Gimple, who played Coco Hernandez. I think Irene Cara also had the What a Feeling song as well. What a feeling.
It's one of those songs where you know all the words whilst it's on in the car. Get out of the car, you instantly forget all the words.
I Still Believe in Me, from an episode of the series titled Passing Grade, was nominated for an Emmy Award for Best Original Song. It was performed by Erica Gimple and Debbie Allen and co-written by Gary Portnoy, who went on to co-write and sing the theme from Cheers. Okay. In the United Kingdom, 2 series credited to the kids from Fame, High Fidelity and Star Maker, peaked within the top 10 of the UK singles chart. 4 cast members from the original movie appeared in the TV series. Lee Corriere played the character Bruno Martelli, who's an introverted musical genius. Gene Anthony Ray portrayed Leroy Johnson, a tough hood from the projects with a natural talent for dance, who muscles his way into an audition and wins. In the film, Leroy is also semi-illiterate, but this was dropped in favor of him having 4th grade reading level in the TV series. Albert Haig played teacher Benjamin Sharofsky, a German music teacher who constantly battled with Bruno Martelli over musical styles. The final cast member from the film was Debbie Allen, who portrayed dance instructor Lydia Grant. Allen only appeared briefly in the movie, but her character was expanded in series. She also became the show's original choreographer, in addition to directing several episodes and co-producing one season. Also, several characters were carried over from the movie, played by different actors. Irene Clark was offered the role of Coco Hernandez by the show's producers, but she politely declined as she wished to focus on developing her budding singing career. So, Fame!
Every time you say Fame, I'm thinking always believe in your soul. Every time.
Why?
Not like I don't want to live forever, but it's like Fame. Always believe in
Why?
your. I don't know. It just
I don't get it.
comes.
Gold is like such
Yeah.
a iconic standalone song. Fame is an iconic standalone song. It couldn't be any more different.
I don't know. Is Gold is that Spandau Ballet? Have I made that up?
Yes, it's a song. Gold. Always believe in your soul. You got the power to know. You're indestructible.
Yeah. I'd never seen Fame. I knew of it. Obviously, it's very very iconic. But as and probably regular listeners do know, I don't like musicals, right? And this is, to all intents and purposes, a musical. That being said, it's a good one, and I really like the drama in between the musical interludes. And also, it's not like a musical. Like, it doesn't make sense that they're singing either. Like, I don't like things. Do you know when people just burst into song for no reason and it has no reference point for the whole episode? This is different. So it's like,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense that they're singing and they're performing, and it's kind of a storyline driver. I'm not sure if there's a better word for that, but
That's probably correct. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I didn't mind the singing too much. They did go on a little bit, but I thought this was quite a decent little show.
Yeah, I mean, look, I initially get why people may not have watched it, because obviously, as you said, Fame is very a specific kind of film with a specific genre.
Uh-huh.
The remit is singing and dancing. You're gonna get a lot of it during the show, whether you want it or not. That's what it is.
But the thing is, like, these sort of shows make a resurgence every now and then, right? So like, there's Fame, High School Musical was a massive thing back in like early 2000s or some maybe mid 2000s, and I'm sure there's been several others that have surfaced over the years. So there seems to be kind of this want and need for this sort of show. So I can understand why it's popular.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of people might have seen it on TV and thought, "Oh, Fame! I didn't really like the film. It's not really my style, so I'm not going to watch it." But it's one of the things where if you actually sit down and watch it, Yeah, I thought it was a hell of a show. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I was even tempted to go watch the film Fame off the back of this TV show. I was willing to sit down and watch the film.
It's something about kind of like the 80s style kind of shows where, you know, like the Footloose. Is Footloose 80s?
Undefeated.
What's Undefeated?
The 80s shows that we have done, particularly recently, like we have done some absolutely incredible TV shows.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, but then obviously you got to look at the movies like Dirty Dancing and.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that genre.
But no, I think I think it has a very specific audience, and I think the audience would love it.
Yeah, of course.
But they seem to be like just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, but to the layman like us, who may never watch these films, like I've never seen Footloose, I've never seen Dirty Dancing, I've never seen Fame, I've never gone out of my way to watch it. If it was ever on TV, I would turn the other channel. But I don't know, maybe I have to rethink that. Because this was damn good, and it does follow the trend and the pattern of like really good 80s shows that we've done. Like off the top of my head, like Saint Elsewhere, that was a damn good show. Cagney and Lacey was 80s we did recently, and that was a damn good show as well. So it's one of those things where there is something here with these 80s kind of shows, and there's so much more that we haven't done, and I actually now can't wait to do, because I'm thinking it didn't matter to me that it was so long. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was not clock watching. I didn't mind the singing and the dancing one bit. It actually gave me an opportunity to catch up with my notes when they were doing all the singing and dancing. So it's one of the things when they take the musical break, I know I can like write some stuff down, because obviously they're just
You're not going to miss anything.
no, and that's because obviously when you're trying to write things down and you're trying to write certain names and characters and so on and so forth, then you don't want to miss anything. And when the musical stuff comes on, then yeah, you're not really missing anything. So in that sense, I thought it was a hell of a show, really did. And right, let's get right into episodes. And the pilot was
Metamorphosis. Starts off kind of like performing art school, as you said. Setting, there's kind of an audition. This is like an audition to see who gets into school, basically. I think you can get like not sure if they're on a scholarship or whatever, but it's anyway, who's getting in. And this girl is like twirling, I don't know what they call it. It's called something, isn't it, when you can like twirl?
I wrote twirlers.
Yeah, so they're twirling a baton and she's going this and that and the other, and the teachers basically aren't too impressed. And then
is there a demand for it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And they said, well, if I'm really good, then I get to be a cheerleader for a football team. And they were like, oh, God, face palm kind of thing. So she's not getting in for a start. She's not going to be part of the cast. Then Julie Miller comes in, who's kind of the protagonist, kind of story pusher girl, comes in, and she plays the cello. I think it's the cello. I think the double bass is bigger, right?
Yeah, she's playing the cello.
Yeah. So and then there's is it Coco? Is that Coco there talking about working as an understudy?
Yeah, working Coco talking about her time working in the summer, yeah.
Yeah, so she's basically got a job in the summer working in a theatre, and she has to do all like the grunt work, but she's also working as an understudy in case the actress that she's understudying like falls over or whatever. So she goes into the auditorium to find someone, and that's where Julie's playing, and the guy there, probably don't know his name. Bruno.
Is it Bruno?
Who's watching her? He's called Piano Guy in my notes.
Yeah, Bruno Martinelli, I think it is.
Yeah, so he's like...
Or Bruno Martelli.
And she's talking to him, and she's basically like, shut up, because I'm listening to this. And he's like, he's just like, didn't realise you were into this sort of music. And it's like, look, I'm into music, whatever music is good, kind of thing. So then Julie's at home, and then she gets a taxi to school. She doesn't want to get a taxi to school, but her mum makes her because they don't know the neighbourhood and this and that and the other. And this is where you see that, it's a high school of the arts. There's a kid in a red jacket who's called Garcia for short, right? Garcia. And he's like basically chatting. He's a chatter, this guy. Then there's this other kid, Leroy, and he's trying to sell stuff. Then in the classroom, Garcia's telling jokes, and the teacher basically tells him off. And the word of today is pretentious. So this is making claims or explicit or implicit to some distinction of importance, dignity, or excellence, and affectedly superior and grand or ostentatious. So basically being like, acting the big one, I think is the easier way to put that. So Garcia is a chatty guy. Coco gets used to told to use pretentious in a sentence, and then she says, like, you know, in this big snotty old way, coming to school in a cab is pretentious. And then
I
and then
love that.
who is it that turns up and says, "Hey, I got a cab as well"? And then they're like, "Yeah, but your dad owns the cab, so it doesn't count." And this is when, so they go to the locker, right? Have you noticed in like most, not all, but most high school dramas set in an actual high school where you see the high school, because that's not actually a recurring theme today, but there's always a dodgy locker, always a dodgy locker.
Yeah.
And someone comes up and gives it the old rat-a-tat-tat, or, you know, finds a little way. But anyway, so this is where you get introduced to this short guy who comes to help Julie, called Little Rico, right? And they have a little chat, and he goes, and it's quite funny because he kind of plays on the fact that he's short, and he says, what does he say? I'm keyhole height, so I can see what's going on. So they basically have a chat, and he basically agrees to show her the ropes for like 10 easy lessons in the piano class. So this is where you see the Bruno guy. Who is this guy, by the way? Does I kind of swear I recognize this guy. Anyway, so he's basically like, kind of playing the piano, and he's playing on his own little. He's kind of like a cut above the rest. He's better than most of the people there playing the piano, reading music, writing music, whatever. But he gets bored with the lessons, right? So he's getting bored with the kind of same old rigid structure. Now they're in ballet class, and this is where you get the teacher says, like, I guess it must be quite an iconic part where it's like fame costs, and this is where you start paying right here with sweat or whatever. Then it goes to on a bus, and Julia's getting like pressed against, and what's that girl's name? Doris. So it's Doris, Rico, and Julie, on a bus, and this guy, you know, this creepy old guy is kind of pressing himself against Julie, and then Doris kind of just like pours hot tea or coffee or whatever it is on this guy, and he like, then they go away. And then she says, so the next day, the word for this day is deleterious.
Deleterious, yeah.
So Coco Hernandez makes a coffee on clothes comment to Julie. Leroy gets told off for not dressing properly in dance class. Basically, he doesn't want to wear tights. And
I know that feeling, because we had to wear tights when we were doing a school play on the Tudors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They did like tights, didn't they?
Yeah, and I had like a prominent role in this play. This was I was in year 3.
And you must have been at least 6'2" by then as well, standing up against everyone.
I only shot up when I went to high school. But you know, actually, I was a little bit tall back then. But then I think when we did because we did the Tudors play, and we had to do it a lot of times because it was like my teacher's lifetime work kind of thing. So it was like literally the whole Tudors and Stuart period. And my whole role was the first kind of like chunk of it. And I think we performed it in other schools as well. Like we went on the road with this stuff. And like, I think my mum's ambition is to find that video. Because somebody recorded that. It is out there somewhere. If you were in my class in Cleveland in year 3 back in 96 or 97 and you have that video somewhere, please send it to me.
We have to find
that
it, put it out there.
Not that important, but
it's quite important, I think.
No, and we have to do green sleeves as well. We have to do the actual green sleeves dance as well, which was very
I didn't even know there was a dance. I know the green sleeves because it's obviously ice cream trucks.
We had to do like a Tudor style dance where we had to like hold hands or at least touch hands with like boys, girls, or whatever. And we had to do the whole dance. And it was just, the whole thing was just very, very... I mean, it was good because it's like, I learned all my lines. I remember having a ton of lines and I just knew it off by heart. Just reading it off it, rattling off it. I remember when we had to like shop for tights as well. It's just like, I think my mom had to like tell the person, look, he has to do it for school or whatever. But I think, it wasn't like a deep thing or whatever. You just had to like wear it under your clothes and garments or whatever. And
were they coloured?
Like full Tudor gimmick. I think it was like dark blue.
Dark blue. Okay, that's not too bad because they used to wear like red and green tights and stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah.
Tights, King Henry VIII with his green tights on, and
Yeah, I remember the kid who played King Henry. Yeah, and it was says, "Yes, off with your head." And,
was it a bald kid?
No, it was the bald. And it was a very, very fun but very long, arduous play. I think it took up most of our time when I was in year 3, and this was the same year when I broke my arm. So I missed a chunk of the first half of year 3, and then the second half of year 3 was with doing the play.
Well, if it was a Tudor times, you broke your arm. That's it. You're a goner. I think in those days.
No, I wanted to like make up for it because I missed a lot of time, and it was one of those things where I kind of like put my hand up, like, yeah, I will do this play.
Yeah,
I
I
will
am
have a
Spartacus for the rest of the year.
I'll have a prominent role in this play. Because it's one of the things where I thought I could skate under the radar, but I thought, fine, for this year I won't skate under the radar. I will be front and center, and you can see me in all of my whatever. But yeah, anyway, back to the episode about Leroy and tights. I know that feeling about him not wanting to.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to wear tights. He just wants to wear the shorts. Like, he feels like.
I thought there was nothing wrong with what he was wearing.
I think, well, that's definitely subjective because they were quite short shorts as well. To be fair, I'm not sure. I think tights would have been better. Yeah.
Let him wear the short shorts. They're not wrong with the short shorts. In terms of like training and exercising, because obviously you just have to be like limber.
I'm sure Alan Partridge had those exact shorts though, but the underpant lining had perished. Anyway, if you're a Partridge fan, so in the class, basically they're kind of getting like Coco gets. Was it Coco gets told off? No, a girl gets told off wearing earrings, right? And she says it's part of my religious kind of cultural thing, and the teacher basically goes off on one. He goes, "Listen, if you're doing some sort of ceremony and I'll let you wear an elephant tusk or whatever, but whilst you're in my class, you're
something about African tradition and what she was saying.
Yeah, because she was wearing this for like an African tribal ceremony or something like that, and she said like, look, if you're in Africa doing your little tribal thing, you can do whatever you want. I'll even let you wear an elephant's tusk, I think she said, through your nose or something like that. But then she says, whilst you're in my class for between 3 and 4, you're dancing and no jewelry. And then the teacher basically goes to Julie, who wears this little necklace. At this point, you don't know what it's for. And she says, like, you're going to have to take the necklace off. She goes, no, that's just a necklace. And then she kind of runs out and gets sad.
She was warned about wearing gold as well and not wearing like too like nice fancy clothes in New York. I mean, this was kind of like prior to the class.
Oh yeah, hang on. Yeah, I've actually gone to I've actually skipped forward a bit. So to go back, Julie's with little Rico. He tells her to ditch the chain, but she doesn't want to. Then he tells her about defensive fashion or something like that. So basically, needs to change the way she dressed. Coco comes into Bruno whilst he's playing the piano, and he's kind of writing music. She doesn't want to make herself known, so she just kind of leaves. But in the lunch hall, Ginger Girl Doris gets winked at by Michael Harris. Is that his name, Michael Harris? And he comes over to talk to Doris, but he actually talks to Julie. Piano guy is talking to Coco. She wants him to go big.
Sorry, what I was going to say was, Michael's girlfriend that was with him, she was in Jack. She played the best friend's mum. There's like a scene where Jack where the boy is having a meeting with the principal, and he gets Jack to talk to his mum.
Oh yes, I know who she is. She's kind of yes. I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly who she is. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Because I knew I recognised her from somewhere. Especially,
I didn't look it up, but I'm certain it's her.
Her accent is like proper distinct, right? Piano guy's talking to Bruno, and she's basically trying to shoehorn her way into like this like kind of partnership with him. So she's hiding in the bathroom waiting for him, and she's still kind of hustling him. And then she's going to perform so that he says yes. So they have this musical interlude. But Doris talks to Julie about Harrison. Coco performs musical interlude. So Julie has changed her look. Mum isn't pleased. And she says, like, what was your dad saying? She says, well, he's not here, so who cares? She tells her mum that she's way out of her league in the school. And then she says, mate, look, mum says her life is not an either or. So it's not like she used the example where I thought I had to make my marriage work or my life would be ruined. But that's not true kind of thing. There's a middle ground and everything.
I thought that was really good advice, actually.
No, it was good advice. Yeah, it's nice. I didn't write down all of it. There's going to be some sort of life finds a way, like in the words of Jeff Goldblum. So Leroy is listening to music in class. Piano Man doesn't want to play the violin. He says it's like for dinosaur tracks.
Bruno.
What is it? Did I say Piano Man?
Yeah.
Bruno. So they're playing Da Capo, and he's really good, but he's bored playing the classical stuff. So Leroy.
The teacher was right here. Because he was saying that we've had this argument since before time about orchestras and violins, about going out of fashion, and they never do. They don't. They never do, and they never will.
But the thing is, as well, like it doesn't matter sometimes how you feel about something. You have to understand where things came from and how things are to understand the present and how to not make mistakes. Like in the future, because if you don't understand something fully and you think you're the be all and end all, you might just be like, well, I think this is really a good idea, but even a week previously, someone might have tried that idea and it didn't work. You could save yourself a lot of time, and actually might learn something. So sometimes kids, their teachers do know best. Not, maybe not always, but certainly a lot of the time. Anyway, so Leroy's talking to the teacher. He's in detention, giving her some attitude. He thinks the teacher's discriminating against him, but it kind of puts a fire up him, and maybe he'll try. So Julie's writing to someone called Lester. Bruno's making some music again. Another musical interlude. Leroy's reading a book. Julie's late for school. Garcia borrows Julie. Oh, so basically, she's reading. She writes her letter. She puts it in her school book so that she can either finish it or send it later on. Julie's late for school. She sits down, and they're all kind of doing that boring old reading in class. One thing I absolutely hated doing in class, when you all read the book.
I was a hell of a reader, so I didn't mind. If I do say so myself, I was a hell of a reader.
My reading has only come on since I've been a parent, and I can honestly say that. So when I've had to read these books to my kid, I can actually read out loud. Before, I'll be like, the dog and his friend went to the shop, and admittedly, I was terrible at reading out loud. Anyway, so Garcia borrows Julie's book, and he basically reads the letter out instead of the book. And then Bruno says, like, privacy should be respected.
And these are like how Garcia's always making jokes about minorities and like how people are always being discriminated against and all of those things.
And he says, in this school, Julie's a minority because she's like from outside.
From Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. So as much as to be multicultural community in the school, you got Spanish, you got blacks, you got Jews, everything like in the minority groups. She's this posh kid from out of town, so she's also part of that.
They're reading Romeo and Juliet, by the way.
Yeah, I mean some Shakespeare nonsense. I'm honestly not a fan of Shakespeare. I don't care if that looks bad or sounds bad or whatever.
It sounds really bad. Shakespeare had some classics.
Shakespeare went on a bit. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta put respect on Shakespeare's name. I put respect on Macbeth's name. You ain't gonna read Macbeth and think, oh my god, this absolutely bangs.
If the teachers, like I said, I think I said this before in a previous podcast, if the teachers hadn't just gone on and on and on and dissected literally every word on every line of every page, maybe it would have been more fun. But we sat in English class for hours on end.
Did you ever do Macbeth?
Yeah, we did Macbeth, Much Ado About Nothing, Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet.
We did Midsummer Night's Dream in primary school. We did Macbeth. We did Merchant of Venice for GCSE. I did English Lit for A level, and we did Antony and Cleopatra. And yeah, I think that's about it. But we did the fun ones. Like Macbeth is a cracking Shakespeare story. Like Macbeth is like betrayal, death, fights, three witches, guilt, all of that.
So the one that I did like was Much Ado About Nothing. I thought that was actually
Merchant of Venice was decent as well, actually.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not the plays. It's not Shakespeare's writing or anything like that. It's just
that sounds like your teacher's
yeah.
problem,
The teachers ruined it by making us sit down for hours on end in a hot classroom.
Because we would watch these things as well. So we watched Macbeth the movie.
We didn't. I remember in primary school we did act out one of the shows.
Yeah, we did a school assembly on Midsummer's Night Dream.
Yeah, so that I still don't know what the I know there's like a guy with a horse head or something like that.
I think that was me. I played the guy with the horse head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was the one who was making people's dreams come true, because I think it was all about making someone love you by like making a wish on them and
yeah. So it was
whatnot.
Quite a weird storyline. So Leroy's in the shops and he's looking at dance clothes, but he kind of bottles it in the end. He nearly gets there, but he ends up just kind of walking off. In the dance class, Julie refuses to take off a necklace. People kind of take the mick out of her and she runs off. Coco comes into the bathroom. They have a talk. And she says, you have to be tough and work hard. Then they go into the class and there's another musical interlude. Leroy dances with the teacher. Julie goes to school all dressed up and then she kind of dresses down on her way to school. Then she dances in the street, which is proper weird.
And that was known as metamorphosis. So she's changing her appearances for New York.
Ah, now I understand it. But then the piano says, Bruno says, I have never met a metamorphosis I didn't like, or something like that. If you use
Well, yeah, 'cause I think
metamorphosis.
that was the word for the class, I think it was. And then obviously it represents Julie changing her appearances for New York, but then obviously for her mum, she's dressing up like a lady. And then obviously in New York, she's got to dress a bit gangster in New York. Then obviously, yeah, they end with Coco singing Fame.
Yeah.
You know what? This song has actually grown on me. I'm not gonna lie. I actually like it now. I don't care.
I mean, I've got Spandau Ballet in my head still, so.
But it's obviously a very, very different song. I don't know why in the world you would mix those two together. But
see, even when you just said it, Fame, I'm like, Fame.
I want to live forever.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to fly. I went on to actually watch 2 more episodes. So I went all the way to season 4. And the episode was I Never Danced for My Father. So this is obviously the anti-Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross, Dance with My Father. Right, episode 4. What is it? Season 4.
I know. I've just the intro is already. I know it.
There you go. But yeah, it's a lovely song actually. Right, I Never Danced for My Father. So yeah, it starts off with someone called Danny, and his parents are talking to him about his future. Danny wants to be a comedian, but his dad doesn't think it's funny. I like how his dad's like proper New York going, "You think you're a comedian, huh? Why'd you tell me a joke? Tell me a joke, huh?" And obviously he's like, "Whatever, dad, I don't want to know." It's like, there you go, you're not funny. And obviously his dad's like, "You're not funny. You're like, stop it. Like, get out of here. You come work for my uncle. Like, oh, come and work for my uncle Vinny. He owns a store. Go and work for him, huh?" You know, in true New York style. Then Leroy's father shows up to his son's practice after like many, many years, but Leroy doesn't want to know, walks away. Dad is like, "Look, I'm here in town. I want to spend Thanksgiving with you," but Leroy isn't interested. Danny wants to perform at the bowling alley where I think some of them work to prove his father. But obviously Leroy's like, "Look, don't worry about your dad. It don't take much to be a dad. Or it don't take much to be a father." Because obviously, like, yeah, everyone could be a father, but it takes more to be a dad, to kind of be around, to stick around. And he was making that point. The vice principal is trying to spend Thanksgiving with someone. He's speaking to Leroy's dad, because obviously Leroy's dad comes to the school and he goes, "Leroy's my son, but I want to talk to him." And then obviously he's like, "That's impossible. Leroy put on the registers that you're dead, that you're deceased." And then Leroy's dad's like, "Look, I'm going to enroll in the school then." And obviously he's like, "Look, no jiving. I want to enroll in the school." And then obviously Miss Grant is like, she's like, "Are you mad? Look how old he is." And obviously you can't. Every person, if you walk out on the street, has a right to at least an audition. Then Miss Grant is giving him a hard time, and I know I wrote his name down, but it's probably way down on the list. Yeah, but she's giving him a hard time, but obviously he's like, "Look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to rebuild my relationship with my son. I want to get to know him." And obviously he's like, "Look, play the music." Turns out he's a hell of a dancer. And then obviously Lydia's like, "Oh, damn.
Damn
I
it.
wish he flopped the audition, so I had to kick his black ass out of here." But obviously he's like, yeah, he's good at dancing. Danny is performing at the bowling alley. He ends up getting heckled by his dad. I like how the dad is like shouting out his uncle's shop, going, "Oh, Vinny store!" And then obviously he's like, and he's not funny. And then the dad's like heckling the shop or whatever. And then obviously Leroy's dad goes to Lydia or Miss Grant, and he's like, "Look, please help me with Leroy. Put in a good word for me." And Leroy, and then obviously he's like, "Oh, why don't you dance with me?" And that's when I wrote the anti-Luther Vandross, because he doesn't want to dance with his father. Millions of listeners would have understood that reference. Eventually you did as well. So yeah, so there's a bit where Leroy's dad goes to Leroy's apartment and he's like, "Look, I'm not going anywhere until you let me explain everything that happened." Then he's like, "Look, the reason why I left was because I wanted to be a dancer. And it is something that I wanted to do all my life, but my wife or your mum at the time was like, stop dancing and get a real job, you bum. And obviously he's like, I couldn't get rid of that passion. See, that's an interesting one. But I do think as well, like if you've got commitment, like if you've got responsibility, if you're like a married man and you've got a kid, sometimes you just got to put things aside and maybe come back to it later on. Because obviously in the immediate future, you got to take care of your own. As a man, you got to take care of your wife, you got to take care of your babies, and then come back to whatever you want to come back to at a later date. It's one of those things where, yeah, you have to balance it a little bit. And then obviously, I don't think he balanced it out particularly well. And so it was like, I just want to dance no matter what. But obviously, it's like, if you're not bringing in the cheese, then your dancing's going to nothing, especially now that you've got a family. The family changes everything. That's your commitment. That's your assignment. That's your focus. But obviously he didn't. And then obviously he speaks to Leroy. They come to an understanding. Leroy goes to the school and he's crossing out the deceased part and he's forgiving his dad. Mr. Morlock ends up getting invited to Thanksgiving dinner by one of the teachers. Brendan. That's his name, I think it is. I think his name is Brendan. No, Vernon or Brendan is one of the names. One of them. And they're singing together, and Leroy wants to have Thanksgiving at his house, so he invites Miss Grant and he invites his dad. And he said, look, I want to have Thanksgiving there instead of having it at the diner for like $3 or something. Which I thought was actually a really good deal. You could have like the Thanksgiving meal. So turkey, stuffing, the works for like $3 it was at the diner.
$3?
Yeah.
I'll go there.
But like, yeah, food in New York, you can get it dirt cheap.
I would love to have a Thanksgiving dinner one time.
I had the vegetarian version of it because I had an American friend at uni and he was doing a Thanksgiving dinner. But I would like to have a Thanksgiving dinner. But no, as like you could like the whole $3 for Thanksgiving dinner doesn't sound too surprising to me because it's like you go to New York. I was literally living off the food in the bodegas for like the time I was staying there. I don't think I went to like a restaurant or like an official place to eat. It's usually the bodega. I can just get like a sandwich. I get like breakfast in the morning. So I wake up in the morning. I go into the bodega. I'll grab like this little pack of donuts, which was literally like I think 75 cents or something. I just have that for breakfast. Grab a coffee as well, which was again like a couple of bucks, and I'd head off straight into town, and then later on I'd come back, get some dinner from the bodega again, or like the chicken shop, which was halal. Thank goodness for that. So just grab it, and it's like really, really, really cheap. There you go. And right. So now that Leroy and Leroy's dad are in good terms, he wants to step away from the school because he's like, look, I don't want to take a spot from a student. I just wanted to come here to make a point. And he has one last dance with Miss Grant, and they have a little moment together. Danny wants Doris to help him get his comedy gig back at the bowling alley. And obviously Danny's family are just they don't want to know. It's Thanksgiving dinner, but Mr. Johnson is not here. And they're all waiting for him in the house. And he decides to walk away from Leroy's house. And then it's the next day, and Morlock was really happy about Thanksgiving weekend, even though the teacher was like, I didn't really want to invite you, and the whole night was a disaster. Mr. Johnson shows up, and obviously Lydia's like, what the hell are you doing here, you fool? And he goes like, look, I have to leave. I have to go where the money is. I didn't have the heart to tell Leroy no. And he goes, and he's trying to apologize to Leroy. And obviously he's like, look, I'm sorry, I have to go on the road. Obviously, Leroy doesn't want to know. But he's like, look, I'm sorry that I have to leave you, but I'm not sorry for you because I'm proud of when I see you dancing. I'm proud of who you are. And there's a creepy bowling guy who likes Doris. And obviously Doris is asking him like for a favor so that Danny could do his gig again. And then obviously she runs off to Mr. Morlock. She's like holding on to him, going, I like the vice principal instead. And then obviously the creepy guy's like, oh, whatever. Leroy's like telling Danny to like let his father be because it's better than him not being there. And so Leroy goes to the airport with Danny and he's running off to try and meet up with his dad. Danny tells his dad that he doesn't want to change, but obviously Dad's like, I don't really care what you have to say. Danny makes a scene, and then obviously he's like, and then obviously Danny's mom defends him, going, "I don't really care about your cousin Vinny. You better laugh every time your boy has a gig. And if you want to be part of this family, you're going to respect his wishes and you're going to respect mine." And obviously he's like, geez, I can't win with you guys, huh? And all of that. And so he just walks off. He's like, oh, whatever. Leroy makes it to his dad, and he promises Leroy that he's going to be back one day. And they have like a little dance together, which I thought was very, very nice. Then I ended up watching the finale, which was called Baby Remember My Name. Aptly so. So I think it's the end of term. They're trying to do a yearbook, but they have to. The principal suggests that they do a video edition where they're recording messages, and then obviously the kids are trying to find a theme. But the principal suggests that you find the alumni and interview them, and they can give their experiences. At this point, Leroy is a teacher, and he's teaching at the school, but he's struggling with credentials, and he won't be allowed to teach unless he submits to the Board of Education like an essay, or he has to like produce a performance so that the Board of Education can like tick him off. So they go to Chris first, who's at the bowling alley. Yeah, and then Miss Grant bumps into someone who's like a really, really important dancer, and he's like a distinguished alumnus. And she's saying to Leroy that, look, Leroy, you should probably end up leaving the school and taking a chance on your dance career. But obviously Leroy's like, look, this is a safe space. It's a safety net. I can teach at the school. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. So I'm good. The principal is talking to someone called Mickey. And so Mickey's like this guy who went to the school. He ends up being a really famous actor and dancer. And obviously Mickey's like, look, I'll give Leroy a shot, and I'll give him some tips or whatever. There's another guy called Chris, and then obviously the principal's like, look, Chris, why don't you come to the school and be a guest speaker? Mickey is having a look around the school. He finds his name on the floor where it says, I think, like Mickey something 1953, and he's doing like a little tap, going da 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 da, jazz hands. And obviously he's like, haha, those are the days. Then Leroy's like telling Mickey, oh my God, I love you. I love your films. I love the part where you're like jumping over the cliff and you're doing all this stuff. And then obviously Mickey's like, yeah, it's not all that. And obviously Mickey was like, listen, kid, when you reach the top and you have your dreams come true, it ain't all what it seems to be. And life at the top is tough. And so Bruno comes in to the party. Doris comes. Coco and Julie, I think, are there. And obviously, yeah, it's a big reunion. Coco's doing her interview. She's talking about life at the school. And obviously, she's like, being a great artist is important, and it's not always about being a star. Mickey, meanwhile, is drilling Leroy, and he's being really, really intense. And Lydia doesn't want Leroy to work too hard, but Leroy's like, look, I don't want to blow the chance with this teacher. Chris is giving a talk to the class, but he's lying. So he's like, I'm always getting opportunities. I always get callbacks. It's not that hard to make it on the outside. And then there's a student going, oh yeah, well, if it's so easy, why are you working at a bowling alley? There's a whole theory about, I think it might have been Chico talking about the brown tuxedo theory. So obviously I think it's the idea that you're struggling to fit in, but then obviously you can come into school with your brown tuxedo and you can still be somebody. Like you can be yourself, and you don't have to always try and fit in with the mold. I think I may have got the expression wrong, but I do think it's a thing, the brown tuxedo theory. Leroy overhears Lydia and Mickey talking, and Mickey's like, look, I don't think Leroy got what it takes. I'm going to kick him out of the final performance. And then obviously he overhears that, and then obviously Mickey's like to Lydia, I want you to be in there instead of Leroy. But obviously she's loyal. She's like, hell no. Who do you like? Why are you asking me for? I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to betray Leroy, no matter what. And Mickey, and then obviously she's like, look, give him one more chance. And obviously he's like, fine, I'll give him one more chance. Leroy tells Lydia that, look, I'm going to drop out of the number because I overheard him saying that he didn't want me. But Lydia's like, look, he's going to give you another shot, so don't waste it. Bruno is doing his bit, and he's talking about not knowing anything, and he's told that, like, he learns that he can deal with issues and open up, and he's saying that he's very grateful to the school for doing that for him. The teacher was not happy with what Chris had to say, And he's like, look, the kids didn't like what you had to say. They don't want lies. They want the truth. And he wants Chris to go back to the school and talk to the kids again, but he refuses. And obviously, the person who owns the bowling alley, Lou, was like to Chris, do you really feel that bad about working here? And he's like, if you feel that bad, then you know what? You're fired. I'm going to let you go. You don't have to work here anymore. You don't have to feel ashamed. Yeah, there's another student, and she's talking about not taking herself too seriously. And you just have to enjoy the work. And you just have to enjoy the ride of the school. Lydia's helping Leroy, but he's not getting it. And he walks out. And Mickey is watching Lydia teach, and she's showing a performance with Mickey in it. And what he does is, I think, it's like a really cool trick. So I don't know if he has like a broom in his hand, and he's basically like doing like skipping rope over the broom. So he's like holding it really, really high, and he's like jumping over it. And Mickey's embarrassed when he sees it, and he walks away. And obviously Lydia's like, look, I'm not showing these videos to embarrass you. I'm showing it because of your work. Your style of work is important. And Doris comes back, and she's a mother, and she has a baby called Jenny. I think she's moved to Ohio with her husband. She said that the school helped her to find her role in life and to like who she is as a person. Chris then comes back to the school, and he talks to the kids again. He tells them that he's a struggling actor and it's tough on the outside. You have to always expect rejections, but to never give up and to not be afraid to fail. So he comes back and gives really good advice. Leroy walks in and he sees Mickey. Oh, it's the axe. Sorry, it's not a broom. It's an axe. So he's basically doing like skipping ropes with a piece of axe. And he's thinking, oh my God, that's amazing. And now Leroy has to kind of, and then obviously he understands what Mickey wants, and then he does the performance for the board. Then Leroy decides that he won't be coming back to the school, but he's going to focus on his performing career. He says he's going to miss the school and he's going to miss teaching the kids. Leroy goes to see Mickey and shows him the dance moves. And then, yeah, he performs it at the big show or at the big number. And then it ends with the entire cast of Fame singing the song Fame. I want to live forever. I think I'm going to have that song stuck in my head for like the next month. Dear oh dear. And that was Fame.
Yeah, it's good. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I was a bit worried about watching it, to be honest.
Yeah, I was as well. I really was. I was like, oh my God. 40 minutes long, Fame. But yeah, it was a hell of a show and thoroughly enjoyed it. 15 now. So this show came out in February 1991. And some of the things happening in the world. The Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization, UNPO, is formed in The Hague, in Netherlands. In Thailand, General Sunthorn Kongsompong deposes Prime Minister Chatichai Choonhavan in a bloodless coup d'etat. If I've said the names wrong, I apologize. The Council of Lithuania declares the independence of Lithuania, ending decades of Soviet rule over the country, and it's often known as the Singing Revolution. The Silence of the Lambs was in the cinemas, and In Your Face by 808 State was in the charts. 15, or it was known as Hillside in Canada, I believe. It's a Canadian teen drama that aired in Canada and on Nickelodeon. It was created and produced by John T. Blinkley. The series was Nickelodeon's only teenage soap opera. The show was shot on videotape, similar to most daytime dramas. The series was first conceived as Hillside in an improvised form for the Disney Channel, where a 13-episode pilot series was introduced and tested in the US. After Disney decided not to proceed with the project, Nickelodeon and Canadian partners joined Blinkley in producing the series, which was known in its first and second seasons as Hillside in Canada and throughout the run as 15 in the US. The show was subsequently syndicated around the world, with runs in Germany and Israel, among others. The series features a large ensemble cast which underwent several changes over the show's 4-season run. Notable cast members include Laura Harris, Enuka Okuma, and Ryan Reynolds.
Was he Billy?
Yes. And, funnily enough, he later admitted to disliking working on the show so much that he briefly considered quitting acting altogether. 15, or Hillside, follows the students of fictional Hillside School and dealt with a variety of issues, including dating, divorce, alcohol abuse, infidelity, and friendship. The show played heavily into stereotypes, including two characters named Dylan and Chris, who wore leather jackets to show off their toughness, but which could not completely disguise their inner selves. At one point, they play a gig with their band Teenagers in Love at a local eatery and hangout spot, the Avalon. Ryan Reynolds, Chris William Martin, Arsaman Johannes, Laura Harris, and Robin Ross all received Young Artist Awards nominations. For what exactly? But anyway, yeah, 15 or Hillside. Let's talk about this show.
Right. So at first, I was like, I'm not a fan of. I don't know, what can I call it? The sitcom set? Can we call it the sitcom set? Like, that style of set. I'm not a fan of it, right? It's immediately aggravating to me. And so this show was like, had that kind of feel to it. And then, it was quite wooden, quite drawn out. And then after a while, I was like, do you know what? This isn't that bad. I quite like it. It was kind of weird because it was nothing good about it. Like you tell me one thing good about the show. The acting wasn't all that. The dialogue was wooden. It was very kind of set piece based. The sets were rubbish. You didn't see any classrooms, teachers, or anything like that. But somehow it wasn't a bad show.
I know what you're saying. I actually know what you're saying. Basically, this would be like as if I turned over a piece of work like at media studies. If I produced something like this for A-level media studies, my teacher would have said, go back and do it again.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
I could see what they were doing. I can see what they were trying to do and what they were trying to portray. I could see the parts. Like all the parts were there. It just wasn't put all together.
No, agreed.
Like if I'm an exec from Disney or Nickelodeon and I look at this pitch, I will say I like it, but what else? Give me more.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it was like there's a lot of really bad elements, but somehow like the end product.
The acting was bad, I thought. The set was very distracting. It was very, very soap opera-esque. It was basically one room or one studio in Nickelodeon because they filmed this in Nickelodeon in Orlando, I believe they're based. So I think they were given one set in Nickelodeon. They were like, "Look, this is all you got. Work
Deal with it." Yeah, but that's the thing because there was basically like I want to say there was like 2 or 3 locations that you actually saw on screen.
Yeah,
right.
So you didn't see anybody in classrooms, which I thought was very interesting.
You didn't see any teachers.
Didn't see any teachers. Yeah, didn't see anybody doing any classroom. So it's always set outside. So like the foyer or the canteen or the local hangout, the Avalon.
Yeah, so I saw the hangout, the stairs, the locker room. And I think there was the locker area was like this bit by the stairs, right? But then there was like the gym locker room.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I didn't see any other locations. But look, it was super weird because it was actually a bit good. It wasn't amazing, but I was still like, at the end of the first episode, I was like, ooh, I wonder what's going to happen with Ashley and Matt.
It's very soap opera-esque. Because you're like, ooh, what's going to happen there? Yeah. But this is like a bad good show. Or a good bad show.
A good bad show, yeah, I think.
Good bad or bad good?
No, because it wasn't like a good show that was bad, right? It was a bad show that was good somehow.
I don't know if it was good. I'm not convinced that it was
I think it was a bit good. Because it was
all right, so defend it then. Tell me the good stuff about this show.
I can't. That's the thing. I can't. But it's
of course you can.
But it's one of those.
You think it's good, so tell me why it's good.
No, because it was just one of those things where, like, actually, I was invested in the characters. I got.
Okay, that's a good thing then.
I got into the fact that I didn't really care about Courtney. To be fair, I think she was really milking it, and she was rude as well. But like, well, so I guess I'm invested in Courtney as well because she's a. I don't think she's that nice in real life. But obviously, you got the baddies, which was Kelly and Brooke, right?
And Dylan. with his
Yeah,
leather
yeah,
jacket.
yeah. But Dylan and Billy, they had quite a cool relationship where like Dylan's like trying to teach Billy to be the bad guy, but not like he's actually teaching him, but like he's just teaching him. And then you got like Matt and Ashley, who are like the most plain, boring old couple anyway. But then Kelly and Brooke trying to get involved, and it was like the intertwining stories and stuff like that. I think was worked, but like you said, there's a lot of other stuff that didn't work in the show.
Right, so talk about the pilot, which was called Checking It Out.
Checking it. Oh yeah. So I was like, do you know when like you kind of hear something, you look up from your notes, you're like, oh, Canadian. So 15. So Brooke and Kelly are talking about outfits and stuff, talking about Courtney and how she was looking tragic, sitting on the steps crying. Matt comes and he's looking for Ashley. Kelly likes Matt. You later find out that they were together at some point. Matt had a good game of something. Turns out basketball. Friends are talking about it, like kind of like really sucking up to him. Kelly and Brooke are watching Ashley with Matt and are bitching about her. Girl comes in looking for her brother Billy, who's Courtney. So Ashley talking to her, and this girl ditched her last night. She was upset with Ashley. Yeah, I think Courtney ditched Ashley, or Ashley ditched Courtney, or something like that. These are high school problems anyway. So Brooke's talking to Matt. She tells him that Kelly likes him. Jake comes over, and they both go to the gym. Bully guy coming up, tough guy act kind of thing going on. So Billy has a skateboard and talking to Dylan. Now Brooke comes over, and when she leaves, Billy looks at her like and says, like, you like her kind of thing. So Dylan has a thing for Billy, even though they're a bit horrible to each other. A bit like kind of Helga and not Hey Arnold. Ashley and Billy's sister talking. She apologizes to Ashley for how she acted. Billy's sister being Courtney. Billy's done something to her lunch bag, and Courtney was the one that was crying on the step. So Billy and Courtney's parents are breaking up. At the milkshake bar, Kelly and Brooke are talking. Kelly says Dylan is cute. Maybe Dylan is. Oh yes, Dylan's a bully guy. They plan to take Ashley down. Brooke and Matt used to go out together. Jake and Matt are talking now. Courtney and Billy are talking, and the parents' divorce or separation. And then this is when I made a note that the kids I haven't seen a teacher or the kids being in class yet. Brooke and Kelly talk to Courtney and pretend to be caring, and Courtney not having any of it. And she just says like, you guys do one. I'm going this way. Actually, Jake and Courtney and Matt are talking in the diner. She says she's fine and she's fed up of talking about it. Dylan has a detention, and now Billy's going with Dylan. Matt's playing pinball. Ashley's too busy for Matt. They don't see enough of each other. Kelly and Brooke are talking again. Brooke is planning to break them up, and she wants to take him away. She has a plan. Jake and Courtney are talking at the diner. He asks to hang on. She says, "Oh, to hang out," and she says yes. So Jake's kind of asked her out, and then he says, "Oh yes, catch a movie," and then she goes, "Oh yes, get a big group of us together," and he's like, "Oh bloody hell," kind of thing. And then she's sad and says, "What am I going to do? My parents broken up." She's actually kind of shows that she's really sad to him. A bit of episode 2 that I managed to watch was it's called Stirring the Pot. Courtney's dad's gone. Jake's still listening to her. Kelly comes to Matt and she says that they can't hang out together because he's not going to be there later. And then she says like Brooke will be sad. And so Kelly and Brooke plan to break up Ashley and Matt. She plants a seed, and then Courtney comes to Ashley while she's at the desk. Ashley has something on her mind. She's worried about the results from an English test. Brooke comes to them. She's teasing Ashley about the ease of the test, even though Ashley's worried about it. Matt comes to Brooke, and then outwardly in front of Ashley flirting with him. And then she walks Matt to the gym. Billy and Dylan are playing a guitar, and then Matt notices that Billy's dressed like Dylan, and that's all I got to watch.
Okay, so I went all the way to season 3, episode 1. So by then, I think they did break up. So Courtney and Arseman are talking about Jake, and they're quite nervous about, and obviously Courtney is nervous about him coming back from China. Brooke is making Courtney even worse about Jake, and obviously she's saying that it's been such a long time since you two have been talking and you don't have anything in common. I was annoyed that they mixed up Hong Kong and China, because Hong Kong and China are two completely different things.
Yeah,
So
well,
like 1 minute are you in Hong Kong, and they're like, and the next minute, oh, he's in China. Oh, he's in Hong Kong. He's in China. He's in Hong Kong. It's like, come on, man.
yeah, it is an independent state, but it is literally on China. It's like Wales is to England. It's not like a million miles away though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't look at a Welsh person and go, oh, you're English or whatever. And I'm sure someone from Hong Kong don't want to be told he's from China. And someone from China don't want to be told, oh, are you from Hong Kong? And then Brooke is making Courtney even worse. And Brooke is talking to Stacey about making her wait in the morning. Dylan and Chris are talking about their band, and they want to kick Billy out of the group because they have the potential to be serious. And he thinks the band has potential. And then Dylan reluctantly agrees to do it. Dave is talking to Matt about missing basketball practice. Coach wasn't too happy. But Matt is like, and then obviously Matt's like, are you coming to Jake's welcome back party? And then obviously Dave was like, I wasn't invited. And then Matt is like, right, I'm going to get you invited. What's the matter with you? And Chris bumps into Billy. He's saying that, oh, Dylan wants to talk to you. Go and talk to him. Chris is talking to Ashley. She tells him it isn't wrong to get B's. And Brooke is confused as to why Chris and Ashley would be dating. And obviously she's like, oh, she's insufferable. I don't like Ashley. Stacey is like to Brooke, you're a really bad person. I don't want to hang around with you anymore. Then Matt goes to Osman and he's having to go at her for not inviting Dave. And obviously she's like, I'm sorry, I forgot. Damn, here's his invite. Courtney is getting her house ready for Jake. And she's getting really nervous. And obviously the house isn't ready. And then Jake is like, surprise. And obviously it's like, oh, Jake, I didn't see you coming out of nowhere. It's very, very awkward. Brooke is talking to Stacey and she's trying to explain her point of view. And then obviously Brooke's like to Stacey, I don't appreciate being called horrible. She's just really gaslighting Stacey, going, you made me feel really bad about being the way I am. And obviously Stacey's like, I didn't mean to. And then obviously, yeah, just making her feel really bad and like gaslighting her. Dylan is talking to Billy and tells him that he has to leave the band. Dylan saying that the band's really important to him and they need a new drummer. Jake and Courtney are talking and it's still very, very awkward. And Courtney's not sure if Jake has changed or not. Jake is talking to Dave and he's saying how weird it is to be back. Dave is telling Jake about how Matt has kept away from everyone. Then Matt shows up and then him and Jake are talking. Jake's trying to talk to Matt, but Matt isn't interested and he just cuts him off. Then Brooke comes and is talking to Jake. And then again, I wrote, yep, getting China and Japan mixed up. I don't know if it was like a thing that she did on purpose. Chris and Ashley are coming to the party, and Matt is obviously looking on jealous. Jake is telling Courtney where they are in terms of their relationship. And he's like, look, I really, really like you. I've missed you while I was away. And Courtney agrees. And Arsman apologizes to Dave. But obviously he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not that deep. Then Dave is looking for Matt. And obviously Jake is wondering what's happening with Matt. And then obviously prior episodes, I believe Matt had a drinking problem. And he was drinking alcohol. And they're wondering if he's drinking again. And obviously Jake is like, you reek of the stuff. And then, they're saying, oh, are you drinking again? And then that's how that episode ended. And then I went to the finale, which wasn't really much of a finale. But if you want finales, then can't wait for the Byker Grove finale to talk about that one. Woo! So Dave, Chris, they're talking about Russ, and he's got leukemia, and they're saying how shocked it is that someone they know could have such an illness, and they're worrying about what's going to happen. They're all amazed by Russ's strength, and Billy and his now stepbrother, Loyal, are talking about the parents arguing. Billy's like, look, don't worry, I'm going to sort it out and I'm going to help you because you're my brother now, or technically stepbrother. Liz and Brittany are talking about Dylan and another girl, but obviously Brittany doesn't really care for the gossip. Billy is looking for Brittany and catches up with her at the mall. She's talking to another guy, and he's like, why are you talking to this other guy for? And then obviously having a big argument about trust. Do you trust me? Do you trust me? Russ is at home with Pepper. And he's like, look, you should go to school. I just want to, go to sleep. I'm really, really tired. And Russ is telling her, look, have a good time at the party. Chris is asking a girl out to the party, and she doesn't want to go with him. She wants to be friends first and then take it really, really slow. Loyal and his mom are now staying at a motel because Billy's dad gets really angry, and he's getting angry at Billy for lecturing him. Loyal is worried about another divorce, because obviously he's been there before with his mum and the previous partner. But Billy says, look, don't worry, they'll work it out. Billy and Brittany are at the party, but Brittany goes out of her way to talk to another guy. And Loyal is talking to Pepper, and he's trying to offer her to dance and enjoy it. Then Chris is asking he's asking someone to dance, and then it turns out that Brittany and Ryan leave the party, and Liz is like, I think it's out of order what she's doing, and I want to get even with Brittany. Dave is reading a letter from Matt, and obviously I think Matt's gone away, and he's like, I'm gonna come back really, really soon. Dylan, who's now going out with Ashley, says that he and Ashley had an argument, and they're hoping that things work out. Billy goes to the diner, and he confronts Ryan, and he throws him on the floor, and that's how the episode ended. So it ended really, really abruptly, just like that.
Maybe they run out of tape.
That would be very, very believable. Very, very believable. And yeah, that was 15.
Yeah, like I said, it was a lot of bad things. Wasn't that bad in the end product? I think it was. Like, I wasn't clawing my way through this show.
No.
I've clawed my way through much worse shows. Than this.
Maniac Mansion.
Oh god, that show! But when you said Pepper on this one, I was like, Pepper Ann. Yeah.
It's like one in a million. That was a hell of a show. I like Pepper Ann.
Yeah, so now I've got that in my head as well.
Yeah, right. We have to choose now between Fame and 15.
I think Fame has it. I think Fame has the edge.
The edge.
Yeah, no, but the thing
How
is,
big is that edge?
But the thing is, I have to say that I walked into Fame having thinking that this is going to be trash. I'm not going to enjoy it. It's going to be a slug, but it's better than I thought it was going to be. It's still not my genre. I have to say, it's still not my genre. But I did like the drama in between the musical interludes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was Fame by a million miles. I thought this was outstanding. It was one of those, oh damn, you proved me wrong kind of shows. Because yeah, you're thinking Fame and dancing and all of that stuff, but it was actually really, really good. And yeah, this was a tremendous show. And like I said, I'm tempted to watch the film, and if I ever get around to it, then I will let you guys know. Main event time now, and we are talking Byker Grove. This show came out in November 1989, and some of the things happening in the world. The first commercial dial-up internet connection in North America is made by the World STD, or Software Tool and Die, which is what it stands for. The Asia Pacific Economic Corporation, or APEC, is established, or RPEC. Brazil holds its first free presidential election since 1960. The Little Mermaid is in the cinemas. And Don't Know Much by Linda Ronstadt and Aaron Neville was in the charts. So, Byker Grove. So this was a British teen drama TV series created by writer Adele Rose and exec producer Andrea Wonfor. It was aimed at an older teenager and young adult audience, tackling serious and sometimes controversial storylines. It was set in a youth club in the Byker district of Newcastle upon Tyne. And in 1987, Andrea Wonfor approached soap writer Adele Rose, and together they created a single pilot episode featuring children aged 8 to 11 at an out-of-school club. And Wonfor gained the backing of Anna Home, who was the then head of the children's department at BBC Television, and they were given the go-ahead for a run of a series of 6 25-minute episodes to be broadcast by the BBC. The age of the main characters was raised to 12 to 16 after support from producer-director Matthew Robinson. The first series centered on young teenagers crossing the bridge from childhood to adulthood. Byker Grove was not filmed in the Byker area of Newcastle. The actual youth club was set in Benwell, which is in the west area of the city, Byker being in the east. And Byker Metro Station and other landmarks such as the real Byker were used for filming backdrops. The youth club building seen on screen, it's the Mitre or the Meter, which used to be a nightclub and a pub, And after the success of the first series, The Mitre was bought by BBC London's property department, which then granted Zenith Television a permanent license to film the series there. And scenes representing Denwell Burn Youth Club for Series 15 were filmed at the Raby Street Youth Club in the buildings next to Byker Primary School. And this is the real youth club for the children of Byker. Byker Grove launched the careers of Anthony McPartlin and Declan Donnelly, otherwise known as Ant and Dec, as well as the actress Jill Halfpenny, who we watched on Waterloo Road as Izzy, and Donna Eyre, former CBBC presenter Andrew Hayden Smith, who had an uncanny resemblance to Leonardo DiCaprio, Emmerdale actors Dale Meeks, Charlie Hardwick, Chelsea Halfpenny, Laura Norton, and Victoria Hawkins. Also appearing in the series was the now glamour model Francois Bouffal and Charlie Hunnam, who later starred in Sons of Anarchy and co-starred in Pacific Rim. The cast and crew from the first 10 years of the show held their first reunion in 2012 in the quayside area of Newcastle upon Tyne on a riverboat cruise. The party guests included Ant and Dec, Donna Eyre, Charlie Hardwick, and Andrew Hayden Smith. Byker Grove was not intended for young children, but aimed at a young adult and teenage audience as it tackled controversial subjects such as drug addiction, child abuse, homelessness, teen pregnancy, homophobia, and abortion. Although some of the action took place outside of the youth club, the series was unusual among dramas in that the characters were rarely shown in school. One of the major settings was the foster home run by the kindly but strict Lou Gallagher, who was the longest running character. The series frequently depicted life as unjust, with bad things happening to good people, such as Flora's death from a brain tumor, Greg's fall from the roof of the Grove, which left him paralyzed from the waist down, Gemma Dobson being electrocuted by a faulty electricity main socket, and the youth leader Jeff Keegan's death in an accidental gas explosion after 11 years on the show. Byker Grove frequently confronted viewers with repercussions for the characters' actions, often permanent. These range from the comical to the tragic. Characters who stole and joyrode cars often died in them, starting with Jill, and ultimately Craig running over Ben Carter. PJ was blinded during an illicit and unsupervised paintballing session in which he ignored warnings and removed his face guard in a scene filmed on location at Aden Castle near Corbridge. And the central storyline for the first 3 series was the character of London teenager and racist little girl, Julie Warner, who was struggling to fit in and adjust to life in working class Newcastle, and her relationship with the rebellious Martin Gillespie. And in the show's final episode, the characters discovered that they do not exist and are the creation of unseen characters known as the Writers, who plan to conclude the show by demolishing the Grove. However, numerous present and former Grove members buy enough time for the characters to rewrite the ending so that the club will remain open forever, but ultimately fail to stop it being demolished. And funnily enough, a number of musical acts have been spun off from the series, and these include
PJ and Duncan.
Hang on. We'll get to PJ and Duncan in a minute. Hold up. It's not just them. So there was Michelle Charles under the guise of Charlie, which was a character name. And she had songs such as The Best Thing in My Life and For the Good Times. There was Byker Groove, which was a girl band, which featured Donna Eyre and Janie Hoy and Vicky Taylor, whose single Love You're Sexy reached number 47 in the UK charts. Summer Matthews, aka Emma Miller, had the single Little Miss Perfect. The boy band Point Break, and they were a boy band which included Brett Adams and David Oliver, who played Noddy and Marcus respectively. And they had singles which included Freaky Time and Stand Tough. And yes, of course, as you mentioned, we had PJ and Duncan, who obviously are Ant and Dec. And prior to them being on TV, they had something of a musical career. Obviously, Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Summer Holiday.
That used to be my jam as a kid. I'm not even going to lie. I did like Let's Get Ready to Rumble, and I actually did like some of their songs. And obviously, they had "We're on the Ball" as well, which was, I think, a song for the World Cup of 2002. Right, Byker Grove.
I didn't watch this show as a child. I knew of it, obviously, and I'd watched bits of it. It'd been on, but same with Grange Hill. I didn't like this type of show growing up, so never watched them.
Okay, if you didn't watch it, so give your first impressions then.
So first impressions was,
or not first impression necessarily, but like you're kind of like you're seeing it for the first time. Like I'm sure many listeners from around the world who you're in the same boat as them. So
I struggled to understand the Geordie. I'll hold my hands up to that. Yeah, it's a combination of like bad audio because it's tape, right? And it's been recorded onto a tape player and then at some point digitized and uploaded on the internet.
Yeah, shout out to the person who put all of the series of Byker Grove from start to finish on YouTube.
In order. Yeah, props to that, because without that it would have been a nightmare. But it was pretty good. Like the characters were relatable. It was shooting pretty good. I mean, in England we do like a gritty, social, realistic drama, don't we? We do like it.
Love it. It's so British.
Yeah.
No sunshine. No nice cool shots.
I don't think any other country does the gritty social realism like
we do. Yeah,
we do. Right?
This is UK all over. America, you can't. You're never going to show like the hood in America. You're going to show like LA and Hollywood sign and sunshine and the beach and whatnot.
Yeah. Or the thing is, I think the Americans can't help themselves making it look a bit, polished and a bit actiony and cool, right? They can't help it. So yeah, this is definitely a unique UK thing, but it was pretty good. Like, I mean, I watched, what did I watch? 2 episodes, one from series 1, one from series 4. It was pretty good. Like, it was, I mean, Julie nearly made me spit out my tea at one point, but because it was just like, straight out of the blue. But yeah, apart from that, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I've got so much to say about Byker Grove, but it is all good. So, like, okay, first of all, you can imagine, like, in the UK, there was never a show that I can think of that was set in Newcastle. You might have, like, the odd Geordie character in, like, a show, but I'm trying to think, like, in terms of, like, set in Newcastle, in this particular part of the world, where they talk in a very, very specific way. And obviously, if you think at the time, Newcastle back in 89, it was one of those things where you had Paul Gascoigne coming up to like the early part of his career where he's like starting to take off. Obviously, I'm going to relate back to football because that's what I know. So you had
Alan Shearer.
Yeah, well, Alan Shearer was a bit later than that. So like before like 89, you had Gaza, you had Chris Waddle, you had Peter Beardsley.
I was going to say Peter Beardsley, yeah.
You had all these like people who are like kind of representing Newcastle. Obviously, The Fog on the Tyne is All Mine is a classic song. I think Jimmy Nail, is he from that part of the world as well?
God knows, I don't know.
Singer.
This is definitely going to be your...
The singer Jimmy Nail. Is he Geordie? Yeah, and The Fog of the Tyne song by Lindisfarne. Yeah, and they're obviously, I don't know if they're from Newcastle or they were just singing about that particular song, that part of the world. But yeah, like you had like EastEnders, which was obviously very Cockney, very London.
Hollyoaks, which is
Hollyoaks is like kind of like northwest Liverpool.
Yeah, what's that place? What's that place called? Yeah, it's Liverpool, but it's not Holyhead.
Yeah, maybe something like that. You obviously, even then at the time, you had Brookside, which was very Scouse, very Liverpool. You had Corrie, which was very Mancunian and Manc. So there was like Byker Grove, this part of the world. We're going to introduce it to people. We're going to introduce this accent. We're going to introduce this to the world. Another thing that I appreciated was Byker Grove was hella diverse. Hella diverse. First episode, you got an Asian guy, you got a black girl talking in a Geordie accent. They're both talking in a Geordie accent. I actually don't think Raj was Indian. I think his name was like David Jones or something. I think so. It was just one of those things where I don't know. They fortuitously found a tanned person, but obviously he was talking in the in a Geordie accent. But I don't think I don't think they're putting on the accent. I think it'd be daft to just drag people out from, unless they're actually from that part of the world and you want to talk to them in that part of the world. It's daft to do that. But no, it was incredibly diverse. You had a lot of black characters, you had a lot of Asian characters, and they would be talking in the accent so that they're, proper Geordies. Like, yeah, like you see the black girl, and I'm like, yeah, go on, pet. You talk in your Geordie accent, pet. And yeah, I like that. And also the other thing was, I might be going on a political rant here, but where are the youth centres at, man?
Yes, that was one of my notes. Yeah, but I mean, it is political rant, and it has to be a political rant because they've been shut by the Conservative government. And what are you going to do with funding cuts and stuff like that? Like, there is nothing to do. I mean, I had a youth club run by the church when I was younger, and it was fun. Meet all your friends, play pool, play football, whatever you're going to do. It was a fun place
it
to
was
go.
somewhere to look forward to, like after school. I'm watching it, and I'm like that's the when the Conservatives got in 2010, like one of the first things they went after was the youth centers, the libraries, like places where young people are most likely to go after school. They just went for those places first. Are like, we're just gonna cut you off by the legs. It's like the Michael Jordan line where it's like "F these kids." Like, I don't know if Michael Jordan actually said that, but it's like a famous like meme where it's like, "Yeah, F these kids," which is essentially what this kind of whole thing was, where you're like saying to them, "Yeah, we're gonna take away the one place after school you can go, and whatever happens to you guys, if you're in a broken home, and the youth center was the only place in the world you can go, and you can feel like this is somewhere that I can go and I'm safe, and I'm going to take that away from you guys, then."
But the thing is, if you look at the investment in the grassroots and the school kids and the stuff like that, the fact that Marcus Rashford had to rally for all the school meals, he wasn't the only one, but he was certainly one in the limelight.
He seemed like the only one, because it's like, where the hell's the bloody opposition?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, why is this a thing? Why is there no investment in the kids that basically are going to be looking after you and me when we're old and infirmed, right? Why are we not looking after these kids? Do you see what I mean? It's like these are the ones that are going to be running the country. They're going to be looking after you and me when we're older, and we can't think for ourselves anymore. Like, if these kids aren't looked after now, why would they look after us when we're older? Like, do they not get that?
Because it's like you're kind of condemning them to a life of whatever. Because it's like, oh, we don't have a youth center. Well, okay, that's a you problem. Kind of and that's what it kind of feels like the government are doing. It's like, yeah, okay, there's no youth center. Ain't that a bit? Like, what? Okay, we're closing these down because we have to save up and we have to do lots of cuts. Austerity. That's austerity. So it's like, death by 1,000 cuts. And it's like, yeah, like it feels like a youth center is like a thing of the past. And I don't want it to be a thing of the past. I really, really don't. And I kind of do want to like do that with my kind of work as well, and kind of bring it back. Not bring back youth center. Yeah, bring it back. It's like, where are they gonna go? Because like, if you take that away, the kids are gonna go to the streets to find that satisfaction, or to find that thing that they're looking for. Because if they're not gonna find it through a safe means where you can go to a youth center, you can just play pool, you can like hang out,
Play pool, just basically hang
do
out.
activities as well, like
Yeah.
going on camping trips, going on like day trips, like all of those things. I loved what Byker Grove represented. I genuinely loved it. And okay, and another thing was, I believe that off the top of my head, Byker Grove, Grange Hill, Children's Ward, and Tracy Beaker are, in my opinion, the most iconic children's shows of the era. Those four are incredibly iconic. I can say that I watched 3 out of 4 of them. And again, the fact that you didn't watch Byker Grove was baffling to me.
The thing is, I don't know why I didn't watch it. It's just those shows. Maybe either they were too long, maybe they were on at the wrong time. Maybe I was just watching.
Because I'd imagine they would come on around 5 o'clock. Byker Grove used to come on around 5. Between the time of 4:30 and 5, that was when they would show Grange Hill and Byker Grove. They would alternate it. So, like, you'd have one series of Byker Grove. Once Byker Grove was done, it'd be Grange Hill. And they'll just be swapping.
Maybe I have no idea. I don't have the answer. I remember it being on. I remember the theme tune, and so maybe it was just something I wasn't into at the time. Maybe I'll switch over.
And also the thing is with Byker Grove, I think it deserves its flowers for some of the storylines that they did. I liked Byker Grove growing up. I liked it now. I thought it was a hell of a show when I was a kid, and I would always look forward to when it would come on. And even now, when I was watching it, I watched I think 6 episodes in total. So it was one of those things where I thought I had to like give it like a wide sample. So basically, yeah, some of the episodes I watched. So I watched obviously the pilot, obviously the whole PJ and the PJ blind incident and the aftermath, and then I watched Jeff and the fire and the aftermath, and then so I think those are like the two kind of like major storylines. I even think I remember he can't see, man. Even when I was a kid, I remember that when he's like with the paintball and he's blind and yeah, no. Honestly, this show is an institution in this country. Like I said, for me, I'm sure there's another program that I should be thinking of to make it 5 shows, but at least those 4: Byker Grove, Grange Hill, Children's Ward, and Tracy Beaker. Those are like the Mount Rushmore, if you want, of like children's television. And I think Byker Grove is like in a league of its own. And I think what they kind of did for the area of Newcastle and that whole bringing it to light and the Geordie accent and making people know about this part of the world that maybe people would never have known about. Never have known about Newcastle unless it was like football, like you said, Alan Shearer, or might not have known the Angel of the North. I definitely want to go to Newcastle. That is on my list of places to go in the UK. So, right, let's get right into episodes.
So I thought the episode was called Saturday. It turns out it just was Saturday. So there's a girl and a dad shopping. They've moved from London. I think this is Julie. You find out the girl's name is. Like, one criticism: names. They never say the bloody names.
They did.
It was like half the episode until they got to the names. Right. So girl and dad shopping. They moved from London. They go into the shop to try on a top. Then the Geordie lass rocks up, which was her name was Debbie. Was that Debbie? She's bought loads of clothes already. She sees the shoppers in the thing, and she says, "Oh, you should get your dad to buy it." And then she walks off with her mates. The dad's trying to convince Julie that move to Newcastle is a good thing. She says, and he says apparently Byker Grove's good. Lots of kids go there. So two guys see 3 girls sitting in a milkshake place. They're all speaking Geordie, so didn't get a word of it. Some mild flirting was my notes on that. So the shopping girls, which is right. Let me try and get this thing. So I think it was it Donna, Debbie, and one
There
other
was a
girl.
Nicola in there as well.
God, I didn't even write. I didn't even write the name Nicola in my.
Nicola was Izzy from Waterloo Road.
Yeah, no, I remember the woman. She was the teacher, right? But
yeah, Jill Halfpenny.
So I didn't even write the name Nicola. So it's shopping girls going to see a movie on Tuesday, even though they aren't old enough, and they're talking about the boys whilst going home. Cass is short for Casanova. He thinks his real name is Andrew, and he's trying to teach his dog some tricks. Really struggling with names, but the girls go inside the building into the bathrooms to talk about girl stuff. So this is where you learn that the youth club is called Byker Grove, and they need some cash. And the kids say let's put on a concert, but the bully kids think it's lame, which is their names are coming later in my notes. I've forgotten their names. The girl is still unhappy with the move. Dad says, "I don't know why you can't just go to the Grove." So 2 out of 3 of the girls go back to the girl who wanted Jacket's house, which is above a pub, and the girl lets the friend borrow some clothes. The new girl's crying. Now it's Monday. Winston is the smaller of the 2 bully kids. Is it Gil or Gail?
Oh, Gil.
So yes, Gail and Winston are the 2 kids. So the small girl needs money for the pictures and takes something or a job from Winston. Gil sparks up a cigarette and gets told either that goes. I can't do a Geordie accent, but it's like that goes out or you do kind of thing. Like
Either that goes out or you do.
yeah, I was like, all right. So Julie turns up at Byker Grove after her parents dropped her off. Gil speaks to her, but she's a bit snotty, to be fair. They go past the office, sneak past the office and meet Cass. And then Gil shows off by lifting 65 kilos over his head. Girls talking about Julie. Alison comes in to talk to her, and she beckons the other girls over. Donna is the girl whose dad owns the pub and wanted a jacket. Julie's dad is a lighting designer, it turns out. Donna called her a snob, and then everyone was shouting for a little bit. The other girl's Gran comes in, and she wants to have a word with Jeff, who owns the place, because she's a bit like, a bit filthy in the kitchen and stuff like that. Julie's going home. Gil offers to walk her home, but she says no. Then the black girl who she's been talking to, she says something to her, and this is when I spat.
She says like, "Oh, obviously be careful with Gil and like watch out."
Yeah, she's warning her. I was drinking my tea, like, mouthful of tea, and then she goes, "Why don't you go back home where you come from?" I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, that because I felt sorry for her initially, and they're taking the mick of her, going, "Oh, I'm from Wimbledon, actually. I'm from Wimbledon, actually."
I was like, "Oh yeah," so I spat my tea all over the place and was like, "What the hell?" And obviously, you immediately do not like this character anymore. Well, I didn't anyway.
No, I didn't either.
And then Grant goes and talks. Oh, so this is really sweet. So the little girl is like, little girl. Is that the little girl, the little ginger girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's kind of like crying because she hasn't got the nice clothes, she hasn't got the trendy trainers and this and that and the other. And she's like, "I wish I was dead." And then the ground's kind of giving a cuddle, and it's like, she can't afford to go on a camping trip, and and she gives her a hug. But the thing is, this is like issues, as growing up when people couldn't afford to do these things for their kids, right? And then the kids are suffering this kind of social leprosy kind of thing going on. Anyway, so Hayley's a black girl. She's got a job interview tomorrow, and she's 15, but she's just hoping they're not going to ask too many questions.
I like her and Raj talking though. That was really nice.
Yeah, it was, but it showed a lot of understanding on their part.
Because obviously, it's like two minority characters, and they're kind of talking about trading war stories and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it also showed a bit of like, what these guys have to put up with.
Yeah.
At the hands of us white folk, shall we say?
Just like even though I talk like a Geordie and I act like a Geordie, people will still think that I'm an outsider. And I do like how Nicola and Donna like stick up for Hayley. So they're like, "Oh, she's a real Geordie, unlike you are."
She was born here. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
And they're like, "Yeah, saying, oh yeah, I did like them defending her," and they're saying that you should go and apologize. And then obviously they're like, "Oh, we don't care about her. Like she's a racist, she's a bigot anyway. Like we don't really care. Like she can do whatever she wants."
But that's the thing. Like you can be like, oh, the poor new girl, or whatever. But you can't be a horrible person. If you're a horrible person, you're going to be liked anywhere you go.
Or if you lash out and that's the first thing that comes in your head, then that's you're wronging.
Yeah, proper wronging as well. I mean, so Gail and Winston are looking for bikes to steal. They're playing in a field. Julie sees them as she's driving home. She says, "I'll pull over here," and then they play chicken and they crash. I didn't watch the next episode, but I would love to. The next episode I watched was, as you suggested, the series 4 finale.
It's one of the most iconic moments or episodes in UK kids like shows history. This is like up there with Zamo being found on the floor on drugs or what? Yeah, some of the other major moments in Grange Hill. Maybe we should run back Grange Hill just so that you could watch it.
Oh yeah, it'd be good because obviously that was Chris back in the day. So
yeah,
I wouldn't mind watching that.
Back in the day, can you imagine saying that about my podcast?
Yeah, back in the day, but it was back in the day now.
As we hurtle now towards the 100th episode of Yesterday's Capers.
Yeah, so series 4 finale was basically. I have no context to the build up here, but from what I ascertained, there is between two groups. There is a paintball match organized, and it's not completely legit. That's the overall theme I got.
Yeah.
So it's a war council. PJ's trying to collect £5 each from everyone. So this is so PJ and Duncan, Ant and Dec, right? I think most people know that, right? Maybe that's a bit presumptuous, but so PJ is Ant McPartlin.
Yes.
And Declan is not Declan. Sorry, Duncan is Declan. I don't know his last name.
Declan Donnelly.
Declan Donnelly, and they always stand Ant and Dec on the screen. Ant is always screen left. Dec is always screen right. They never are seen the other way around. That's a little bit of trivia for you. So, and most of the time they did it in this as well, but only one scene they were the wrong way around. So, something happened between Debbie and PJ. Gemma is the other girl. Marcus, his brother, is asking for cash, and they all go for paintball. Patsy's lost her Christian fish brooch. Doorbell. Oh, so the doorbell goes off, and it's their mum. Then Marcus sold because Marcus needs the cash. So he sold the little fish in a pawnbroker for 12 quid. He comes home, sees his mum, and now he's sad. So, and this is when I made a note that Ant and Dec are still in order. So Patsy thinks that something bad will happen at the paintballer thing, and she says like she's kind of freaking out about it. She's got this kind of like sixth sense thing going on. She tells Charlie to film everything, and at home she's still looking for a brooch. Marcus can't watch mum go, that's why he's sad. And then he calls his mum. He says, "I miss you, love you, mum, and love you, ma'am, and all that." Debbie did something with PJ. They kind of like he was careful, but he wasn't careful with her heart. Patsy's praying. Marcus goes back to buy the fish because he feels guilty. Stashes it back in the house. Patsy finds it and says thank you to God because she was praying for it. So PJ and Duncan go to where the paintball is going to be. It's like a castle area, like you said earlier. Aiden Castle, did you say?
Yeah, something like that.
Patsy wakes up in the night. She's worried about the battle tomorrow. Debbie and Gemma come to the paintball to show PJ that they don't care. You know, they're like, "Oh, look, I don't care what you did. I'm just going to show you that I can still do whatever I want." Jeff and Patsy are in the background. She tells him about PJ because she thinks something. So Jeff and Patsy are talking. She tells him about the paintball because she thinks something's going to happen. It's like a rivalry. So at the battleground, then they meet and they're playing like, is it the Dad's Army theme tune they're playing?
No, this was Bridge of the River Kwai.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of marching down with their kazoos. So this is like on a kazoo. That's like the least threatening battle.
What
thing.
I was gonna say is, again, this was another example of like different generations. So like, if you tell an 11-year-old now hum the Bridge of the River Kwai theme, they'll be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
It's one of my dad's all-time favorite films, so that's partly why I know it. But obviously, it's like a very iconic theme. But it's like, yeah, and obviously, as an 11-year-old, I knew that theme. I knew it like the back of my hand, like. And there's also like the Great Escape as well, like do 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 do. But if you ask the 11-year-old to hum the Great Escape theme song or the Bridge of the River Kwai theme song, they wouldn't have a Scooby Doo. So again, it was one of those things, yeah.
So Jeff rushes to get there. He's like, Jeff is booking in his little Ford Escort van or whatever it is. He's like, boo! He's like, hitting the rev limiter and stuff like that.
Speeds and
yeah. He's like, and it's back in the day. If you crash, you're dead. Like there's none of this airbags, 5-star NCAP safety rating nonsense. That's like you crash, you're dead. No second chances back in the day. Patsy's still praying. PJ takes off the mask to warn Noddy about someone shooting him, and then he gets shot straight in the eyes by Debbie and Gemma. And then Jeff comes and tells Duncan to call an ambulance, and he's like, "You can't see, man," and all that.
That's the famous line, isn't it? He can't see, man.
But one thing as well, you talk about the generational gap. Like he's like, Duncan, go and call an ambulance, and he has to like run off to call an ambulance, right?
Yeah.
Like, where's he gonna go? Because this is you told you and I to call an ambulance. We'll pick up our phone, yep, call an ambulance, or ask literally anybody on the street, can you call an ambulance? Everybody will whip out their phones. I don't think there's like a single person walking around without a phone in their pocket. But back in the day, phone box, car phone. If you're
rich.
No, exactly, yeah. So that was the end of that episode.
Cool. And I went on to watch Series 5, Episode 2. So this was a aftermath, kind of like of PJ being blind. And Charlie is basically interviewing some people, and they try to intimidate her, but she's ignoring them. PJ is talking about the views from where they were kind of sitting, and he's saying that I can see the views in my head. I can still see it in my head. Obviously, I can't see it, but I can kind of see it in here, in my head. And Duncan's like talking to PJ, like trying to, be a mate for him. Then PJ and Duncan are practicing for PJ's birthday gig. They're having issues with sound, and they come up with a name for their group, and it's known as Grove Matrix. And I like how one of the kids couldn't tell them apart. So he's like, which one's PJ and which one's Duncan? And then PJ goes to see Debbie, but but obviously Debbie's mum was like, Debbie's not there, and literally Debbie's standing right there, which I thought was really bad. Because obviously he's blind and he can't see. And they're like, you know that they have other senses as well. They can smell, they can hear, they can do all of those things. But PJ's like, I know she was there, like I can smell her perfume. There's Noddy and Angel, and they're looking for alligators, and they see footprints in the mud, and then they run back. But obviously, some of the other kids are like, yeah, it's obviously not an alligator, because obviously alligator is American. Charlie is encouraging Patsy and tells her to be a better reporter. Patsy goes back to interview some ruffians, but they ignore her. PJ is at this horse riding session for kids or whatever, and Duncan bumps into Debbie in the shop, and he wants her to come to PJ's party, but obviously she's like, look, I don't really care, it's none of your business. And obviously Debbie's feeling bad. I think she's the one that fired the shot, but Duncan's like, look, it's not her fault, and don't worry about him, he's dealing with it in his own way. And I was thinking, yeah, it is your fault. You done shot him straight in the face with a paintball.
Pretty damn good shot, to be fair. Either he's really unlucky, or they're like, they're like marksmen.
Maybe. And then PJ is like, he's having fun with the horse. So what he does, he basically kicks the horse, and the horse just bolts. And he's just basically like feeling the adrenaline and kind of feeling normal. And then he takes a nasty fall off the horse, but he ends up falling in like this big sack of hay. And it's the night of the party, and Grove Matrix make their performing debut, and they're singing the song Tonight I'm Free. And I believe this was in the music charts, and it didn't chart very well, but it was in the music charts, and it was obviously their first foray into music. And then they get offered to perform at a club from a guy called Carlton. PJ is talking to a girl called Fran. Duncan says that Debbie might be coming, but PJ doesn't really care. Debbie shows up, but she's late, but makes it in time for the blowing out the candles. PJ spills ice cream down his top, and he doesn't realize that he does it. And the girl is talking, going, "Oh my god, you're so funny! You got ice cream down your top or whatever." And then obviously he gets really embarrassed and runs out. And obviously Fran didn't realize that he was blind. And then PJ sees Debbie outside, and she's like, "What's the matter with you?" And he just says, "Just hold us, Debbie." And so they just have a really nice moment, and she's just hugging him, and he's like, "Yeah, just hold me." Then I went to series 12, episode 6. So this is a new cast of Byker Grove members, and this is more of what I was watching. I look at the characters, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I remember you." So I see Bradley, and he's reading a business book, and he's learning about speculate to accumulate. But Jeff's not interested in Bradley's latest scheme. Jeff agrees to holding a concert, because then it can kind of if it doesn't get in the way of building work, because he's been given funds to fix the Grove. Regina's mum is making her go to the Grove, even though she doesn't want to go. There's a bring and buy sale set up by Bradley, and he has a crush on a girl called Sita. And again, Asian character, big ups to Sita. Regina tries to help when she goes to the Grove, but they're not interested. And then Bradley's pretending to everyone that Sita is his girlfriend, but she's furious. And Sita is a pretty good singer, and she's singing the song It's the End of the World, which was originally sung by Skeeter Davis. Why does the sun go on shining? Why does the sea rush to shore? Don't they know it's the end of the world, 'cause you don't love me anymore? And yeah, they're singing that song, and she's she's singing it in her own nice way. Like, you're doing amazing. Good for you. And there's a girl called Regine, and she has a mystery date, and she's getting all excited about that. And then you've got like some of the kids, and they're trying to get to the cellar because they want to do like a big magic trick for the big show. They're making Stumpy hide out so that they can do their magic trick. But then once they're all inside, Regina knocks off a gas cylinder. And they're like, what are you playing at? You knocked over the gas cylinder. And they basically all run. Regina is upset. And she's obviously struggling to adapt to changes. Jeff is trying to find Bradley and Sita as well. And they're basically warning Bradley to shift all this stuff. Regine is climbing up steps in an abandoned building to her date. And she finally reaches to her date, Liam. The power blows because obviously I think one of the girls are trying to use it for their set or their concert. The power blows and everyone has to get out. Stumpy is still inside because of the magic trick. And obviously the kids are like, we're going to try and get him out. Jeff goes looking for him and finds him. And he's like to Stumpy, look, get out. I'm going to have a look at this gas cylinder. He looks at the gas cylinder that drops. And then the next thing you know, the grove blows up in flames with Jeff inside. And I remember this. This was so sad. Jeff.
I don't remember it. He had an awesome beard, though. Mutton chops, I think, with the hair going on, didn't he?
Yeah. And yeah, I watched the next episode, which was Jeff's funeral. Everyone's getting ready. Claire doesn't go to the funeral because she feels really guilty about the plug socket blown up. And Ben is like, yeah, it's your fault. And he's always Stumpy's fault as well for being stuck inside there. Everyone's finding it hard to imagine the Grove without Jeff. PJ and Duncan make an appearance. And they're saying what they do. And I think they work for like a charity. The kids feel bad about the oxygen cylinder. And Regina's overhearing the people talking about what the fire investigators were saying. PJ is kind of making jokes about being blind. And I think he was saying, oh, if I could watch Newcastle in the cup final, like, it's a good job I couldn't see them perform that badly in the cup final. Like, just kind of like being really cool and relaxed about it. Everybody's reading their eulogy, and Sita is singing the End of the World song that I just mentioned. Stumpy's feeling very guilty about what happened. PJ and Duncan are giving advice to a girl because I think her boyfriend has got a disability. Greg, who fell off the bike from the Grove, as I mentioned, as one of the major storylines. And they're basically saying, look, the most important thing is that they want normality. They don't want you feeling sorry for them. They don't want you to kind of mollycoddle them. They just want normality more than anything in the world. Then Ben and Ollie are basically on a warpath because they think that the kids are carrying on as normal because they come back, I think, to the Grove. And they're just basically having a wake. There's like food. They're playing a bit of music. They're like, look, someone's just died and you're just carrying on as normal. Like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? And they're just basically bickering and blaming one another. And then I think they kind of remind each other that Jeff wouldn't want them bickering. And Ollie's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. And then they just play the music. And they thought that Jeff wanted life to go on as normal and that they won't forget him. And they're planning a memorial for Jeff. And they want to kind of do like the whole party that they were going to do at a time capsule. Ben, meanwhile, is trying to get with Claire, but she just wants to talk. The kids are planning the concert as a tribute to Jeff. And Tina's telling them that someone new is going to be taking over the Grove. The kids tell Tina about the oxygen cylinder falling, but it's not their fault. And the person who takes over is a black guy called Achille. So he was in charge of the Grove and he was the Jeff. And I remember him very, very well. And again, it was really, really cool. And it kind of showed off the diversity of Byker Grove. The finale now, honestly, this was one of the wackiest, goofiest episodes of children's television that you're ever likely to see. So it starts off with everything in freeze frame. Is anything real? But we kind of know the kind of main story is that the council is selling the Grove, and they're basically telling them that they have to end the story. So they have to end the story in their own way. So they have to write their own ending, and Achilles basically showing some of them an empty kind of abyss, where it's like, look, that's the ending. That's where we're all gonna be. And so the kids are kind of writing about what they want to do and what they kind of want to do after the Grove. So one of them wants to be a businessman, one wants to be a model, and they're just writing all these stories. They're playing the Jurassic Park theme. I think I'm not sure how they could afford that. But obviously, I think it was the BBC, so they just thought, let's just go out with a bang. And yeah, I'm not even a fan of Jurassic Park, but even I know the theme song.
You're not a fan of Jurassic Park?
I wasn't crazy about Jurassic
Honestly,
Park.
it's one of the best films ever made, ever.
It wasn't for me, Clive. It wasn't for me. I think maybe the first one. First one was kind of dope, and maybe the Lost World as well. Okay, I maybe them two, but that's about as far as you're gonna get me.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I've everything dinosaurs. Yeah.
And there's someone called Dom, and he returns, and Stumpy wants to kind of be, and Stumpy's digging, and he wants to take a part of the grove with him. Achilles' daughter saying that they owe the grove, and people need to stop being greedy with their wishes. Dom is talking to someone called Chrissy, and he's saying that she's the one for him, and he loves her. But Chrissy thinks it's a trick by the kids. It's unwritten, so the kids had nothing to do with it. So the kids have a plan to buy the grove from the developers, because obviously someone wished to be a successful millionaire with lots of money. But obviously the £5 million wish that they made is vanished because the writer wants a more believable ending. And Lou comes and she's basically saying to some of the kids that, look, I've applied for adoption, so you guys can come and stay with me for as long as you want. There's a protest taking place to save the grove. Stumpy looks at the treasure chest. Stumpy finds like a chest or like a treasure chest of some sort inside the gardens of the grove, and there's gold inside, and he uses the gold to buy the grove, and it stays open, and the kids realize that they just had to believe in themselves and they could figure it out for themselves. But nevertheless, there's a bunch of kids and they end up blowing up the grove, and the last final moments was just like a picture montage of all of the memories of Byker Grove. I don't know why I said the Bill for. I don't know why I said. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I've got the Bill and the saxophone in my head, but yeah. And obviously, again, the BBC thought we might as well go out with a bang because they use "In My Life" by the Beatles. Obviously, YouTube cut it off because obviously the Beatles don't want their music being played free by some jamoke who put up the. I shouldn't call this person a jamoke because they worked incredibly hard to put all of these episodes up. It's been covered by many different artists, but no, it was a very nice song and very nice classic way to kind of end, and it's very apt. Obviously, yeah, there's places in your life that you remember. Some of them are dead, some of them are living, and you often stop and think about those moments in your life. And it was like, yeah, really nice way to end a show that had an incredible run for 18 years, 89, 2006. So yeah, 17, 18 years. And they definitely made the most of it. So yeah, that was Byker Grove. Byker Grove. It was a great theme song. It was classic, and yeah, it deserves its flowers. Shout out to everybody who was in Byker Grove.
Sajid Vada was in Byker Grove. I know that guy. I tried to find episodes of him in, but I couldn't. I didn't have time to watch all through them.
I don't know her. Sorry.
Him.
In the words
Sajid
of Mariah
Vada.
Carey. In the words of Mariah Carey, it's like a famous Mariah Carey gif. But obviously, you're behind the curve when it comes to.
Look, everything popular culture you've done today, I've not been on it.
Yeah, but yeah, like it's the Mariah Carey. I don't know her. Yeah, that's yeah. That person, I don't know who that person is, and I didn't see him in any Byker Grove episodes I watched. So there you go. And on that note, we will bring it to an end, and it's the end of the back to school month. But
Black History Month
coming up, so,
the full 30 days as well, 31 days.
Absolutely. So yeah, you got Black History Month. So yeah, for the next month, we'll be doing all black everything. So
we've covered so many amazing Black History Month shows, black shows in Black History Month.
Yeah,
we've discovered so many decent shows. I don't think we've discovered a bad one.
Family Matters, 227, That's My Mama, What's Happening, Sanford and Son. We did Fresh Prince.
We just what was that crazy one?
God, we did so much. We did the Hughleys.
Oh, that was amazing. That was one of my favorite ones.
So many we did, so many, and we're gonna try and uncover and discover some more. So definitely watch this space and look out for those episodes that come out in the next month or so. Warm welcome to listeners from South Africa.
South Africa, nice.
Bafana. We got listeners in South Africa, so it always makes me happy when I see African countries listening to my podcast. So
Of
yeah,
course.
you know, the motherland. I've got to hold it down for the motherland. So welcome, my South African friends, and there's plenty more where they came from. So do listen. And yesterday's capers is available wherever you get your podcast from. We're available on all the podcast platforms, so definitely go out of your way and look out for them. They're available every Friday or Saturday, so definitely watch this space. Also, we're on the socials. On Instagram, it's Yesterday's Capers 1. On Twitter, it's Yesterday Capers. YouTube.com/Yesterday's Capers. Facebook.com/Yesterday's Capers. You can find me on the socials at Abdullah_Moallim on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Abdullah Moallim, all one word. Give me a holler, give me a shout, and join us next time for another episode of Yesterday's Capers.